This is an over where Jason Holder took 4 wickets in 4 balls, what we call in Australia a double hat-trick, despite not knowing why and it being provably false. It won the West Indies a game against England that they were probably going to win anyway, but it ended the conversation. Let me take you through it all. Jason Holder was bowling the final over of the series against England with 20 runs needed and Sam Billings batting with Chris Jordan. They also had a short leg side boundary to aim at. Because of England's earlier wickets and the high total, West Indies certainly were firm favourites. But Chris Jordan has always had all-round talent, but in T20 he never really mastered the art of hitting boundaries. And then last year he went crazy and started smashing them everywhere. Sam Billings is more of a middle overs anchor, but he does have power. Last year alone that seemed to come out massively when he hit 28 sixes, almost one a game. Oh, and he was 40 from 26 at this point. So England still had an outside chance of winning the game. Jason Holder has been involved in T20 cricket for a long time, but he hasn't played that many games. And by that I mean for a West Indian all-rounder, not for a normal person. He only played 18 matches in the 3 years from 2016 to 2018. And because of this, his game didn't quite develop like other West Indian franchise players. But the last few years he started playing 20 games regularly and even 30 at one time. And because of that, he's transformed his game a little bit. And this has made him a lot more valuable in T20. It seems like he's converted himself from a power play bowler who had to bowl the rest of his overs in the middle to a top and tail guy. Power play and death. And at the death he went from basically not bowling slower balls to seemingly devising a new one every spell. Holder is certainly not a perfect death bowler, but his improvement has been obvious. In the last 3 years he's found a way to take a massive amount of wickets while also dropping his economy. And 3 of his best 4 death seasons have been in a row.
In fact, while he's still at a pretty high economy, when it comes to average, in the last 3 years, he's been the 4th best in the last 4 overs. He's taking a lot of wickets.
So that's the characters. Now how about the action? 19.1. Holder delivers a wide full toss and Billings mishits it down to long on. And to make it better, it was a no ball as well. It was a wide no ball full toss, but Billings tried to drag it to that short boundary, and the double mistake of Holder only cost 2 runs. Although it does mean that England now need 18 from 6 and have a free hit. 19.1 Redux. The extra ball from Holder is wide and full, and it's an okay ball, but Jordan left it, thinking he'd get the wide call. Even an outside edge would have got him 4 with third man up in the circle. He asks the umpire for the call, but he doesn't get it. 19.2. The next ball is a wicket. It's another full toss, and again Jordan is trying to clear the short side, but he mishits the ball and the catch is taken out in the deep. But that's okay, as they still have Billings around and now on strike. 19.3. Holder goes for the wide Yorker and misses it, and this time it's a half volley. Billings has already committed to the short leg side boundary already, and he hits the ball straight up in the air. Holder has missed his length again, but it's caught, and with Billings out, chances are he's already won the game for the West Indies here. And yet, Holder has delivered 2 full tosses, a half volley, and his best delivery was on a free hit. But it just doesn't matter. 19.4. Now this is a slow ball. Adil Rashid is facing his first ball and again tries to find that short leg side boundary and again finds a deep fielder out there. On this length, the ball could have travelled against a set batter. But to be fair, most slower balls are on a length. And Holder gets away with this because it's a lower order batter and he's trying to hit a 6 straight away. 19.5. This is the final ball that Holder needs. And it's the first time in this over he's completely nailed the delivery as he would have wanted. He bowls Saqib Mahmood, even if no one actually seems to notice for a while. And the West Indies win and Holder is given player of the match because he's just taken 4 wickets in 4 balls and won the game for his side. Now, player of the match is a stupid award. It's subjective, usually favours batters, and it's not really something that you should ever care about. But it wasn't just that award. All the talk after this game was about Holder. And yet he had fundamentally not bowled a good death over. He wasn't even bowling that good earlier in the match. He took his other wicket with a half-tracker to Moeen Ali. And after 2 overs, he'd gone for 25 runs. It was Akil Hussain who changed this game. He took 4 for 30 and destroyed England's middle order, and also had to bowl into the death as a left-arm finger spinner. According to ESPN Cricinfo's impact metric, Hussain was the best player by a distance in this game, and Holder was the 8th best player. And it wasn't that Holder hadn't been good in this series. He won the first match with a spell that allowed 7 runs and took 4 wickets. There was no comparing the 2 matches. In that earlier game, he was completely in control of every single ball. In this death over, it was a collection of poor balls that were largely helped by the fact that England needed 20 runs and were obsessed by the short boundary. Not to mention that there was a couple of lower order batters thrown in afresh. And according to ESPN Cricinfo's numbers, there is a wicket for every 10.5 balls off an aggressive stroke in an IPL match. If you just look at batters 8 to 11, that comes down to 7.7 balls. And if you look at them, but in the last over, we're under 5 balls per wicket. This doesn't include runouts, by the way. It also doesn't include the fact that you're facing your first ball and you're chasing over 20 runs. It is hard to hit boundaries, and it is even harder to do that when your team is behind and you're obsessed by only one boundary. But the most important thing here is that what was glorified was Holder's over, and it wasn't good. He didn't execute the way he would have wanted. But it didn't matter, because when you're trying to slog sixes, you often hit the ball straight up in the air. And this isn't a pylon on Holder or any death bowler. Often he would have bowled much better overs than this, and through misfields or edges or just bad luck, they'd get slapped away for runs anyway. But this shows just how much we get handcuffed to the result. There are so many times in the IPL where you see a last over game, and because the batters haven't made the runs, we assume the bowling is good, or sometimes it's completely the opposite. In this situation, Holder taking 4 wickets in 4 balls meant that many people thought he was the best player. But he just wasn't. He wasn't even close. And this isn't just a cricket thing, it's obviously a normal human occurrence. There's recency bias involved in this, and there's also result bias. We just saw West Indies win the game, right? But as every cricketer has ever said in a press conference, it's about the processes and not the results. In this case, Holder's processes weren't great, but the results were. And so he wins player of the match. And our hearts. But maybe not our minds?